have yet to meet an entrepreneur who isn't the bottleneck of their own business. And it's like, get out of your own way. And if you don't know how, seek support to understand how to, because people don't even realize how much they're in their own way. They really do not realize how much they're in their own way. They don't realize that the issues that they're having in their business, they're creating, and that you can uncreate it just as fast. Right? So when you can get the right support for that, it will take you to the other next level without having to like grind and hustle your way to it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. My name is Tiffany Alexander, and I am the host, right? Welcome back if this is your multiple times coming back. And if this is your first time with us, the show is called Unveiling Journeys. And a little bit about me, I love networking. I love high-level masterminds. I love meeting with people and saying, oh my gosh, here's what I do. But also tell me about you. I want to know because I bet there's people that I know that I really think you should know. But at the end of everything, sometimes I cannot help but say, oh, you're so cool. I need to introduce you to more people. Or who do you know that you feel like I need to know? And that leads into more conversations that is a chain reaction of getting to know some of the most incredible people I've met in the last year of my life. And some of them so cool. I'm like, please come on my show. I need the world to know you. And that's kind of what happened. I said, who do I need to know? And my friend said, you're going to know Alaina. Please. Here, with that, I have my next guest today. She is going to come on and tell us a little bit about her. Thank you so much, Alaina, for coming on the show. Tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you're up to right now.
First of all, Tiffany, thank you so much for inviting me on the show. I'm super honored and it's a privilege to be here. So what do I do? Who am I? I'm actually a pretty cool person, do up to good things in the world. That's how I look at it. It's funny. A testament to that is that very recently, and then I'll go more into who I am, but very recently, like I was a lawyer in the music industry for 18 years in New York City prior to being a coach. I've been a coach now for July will be 11 years. So coming up to 11 years next month. And I recently, last weekend, had two people reach out to me. One was a client I worked with 8 years ago who finally retired. And she said that I helped her build her total ideal retirement. And she contacted me again after many years to say thank you because it was a game changer working with me. And then I also had a client who I represented, a former recording artist I represented, reach out to me and said, like, your presence in my life was just a major presence in my life. And I'm so grateful for you. And it took me a while to find you. And so for me, it's like, wow, what I'm about is leaving people better than when I found them. That's really what it's about for me. So I coach really high achieving entrepreneurs, service-based business owners, helping them scale. So they're already successful and I'm helping them scale to the next level, but work significantly less. I'm helping them tap into their intuitive capabilities. I'm helping them tap into the truth of who they are. I'm helping them tap into alignment in their business so that they can create what they want to create and live the lifestyle they want with like a ton of ease and flow.
Oh my goodness, there's so much to unpack in all of this. And I love how you live by that model because I occasionally get on the phone with someone and I say, I don't know what it's sometimes why we got put on the same call together. Someone just said, yeah, you got to meet him with no context. And then I end up just letting them know I'm either going to encourage you, inspire you, or I'm going to plant some seeds. So you'll be better off by knowing me. And they're like, okay, challenge accepted. But you run by that model too. So I
Totally,
appreciate it.
totally.
Yeah, we're in such good space. So let's do this. Let's go back to the beginning. Tell me, like, where are you from? And I mean, what did you want to be when you grew up? And what did that look like?
I was born in New York City, actually. And then when I was super young, I guess around 3 years old, my parents relocated to Long Island and then down to South Florida and then back to New York City. So I then lived back in the city to go to law school and practice law for 18 years. So I lived there 21 years before moving a little further north in the Hudson Valley now. So that's where I am in the Hudson Valley in New York. And honestly, I was super shy growing up. Like I was really, really shy and really good at one-on-ones, but in groups got super shy. And so I loved being around animals. And I really wanted to be a vet when I was growing up, which is funny because that's not what I went to school for at all. I ended up going to college. Originally, I was a psych major, which kind of makes sense that I'm coaching now. And I wanted to help people back then. And I became super disillusioned by the idea that I had to pick like a school of thought to like build my practice around. I'm a really eclectic thinker. I don't tend to follow, it's like when people even ask me who my mentors are, I don't tend to follow people. I tend to follow ideas.
Mm.
Right. So I have an, oh, I like that. I want to take that. Oh, I like that. I want to take that. I'm a very eclectic thinker that way. And so I gave it up and ended up ultimately, after changing my major multiple times, becoming a legal studies major. And that was more like legal history. And I thought, oh, I really want to be a history professor because I had one that actually told the truth, like not the way we learn history, but the actual truth of what really happened. And I was like, I want the truth. That's what I'm really into. And then my parents strongly encouraged me to go to law school because the two pre law classes I took, I excelled in. I won both mock trial and appellate court. And so they encouraged me to go to law school. They pressured me, I'd say, and I succumbed to the pressure.
Right.
And I put my ladder up against the wrong wall for a number of years and became very, very successful at it, but realized this isn't my purpose in life. And what do I really want to do when I grow up? And that's how I ended up coaching.
Oh my goodness. Well, tell me about a little bit of the beginning stages of that. So coming straight out of school, changing your degree, well, in mid school, changing your degree multiple times. I feel you on that. Like I am product of that. If I tilt my camera over here to like, here I am looking at my aerospace poster that I never made it, but now being here in real estate, what were some of those like lessons where you decided to take a left turn and be like, oh, I'm going to switch to this major, and then coming out, like what was the couple of those switches that you did mid college?
Like, I became a business major and I hated it. It wasn't like the way the classes that I was taking, I just wasn't into them. And I literally dropped all my classes that were business classes in one semester. And then I really had no idea what I wanted to do. And they started this legal studies program and that seemed interesting. And so I went that direction. Honestly, every choice I've ever made in my career, in my life, like has been intuitive. It's been like, this doesn't feel right, moved in this direction instead. And so it's really been trusting my intuition on that level and letting it guide me, which is funny because that's a lot of what I teach my clients how to do is tap into their intuition on demand. Like the most successful people in the world, when you look at like the Jeff Bezos and the William Buffetts and Oprah and Steve Jobs was a huge proponent of this, all made decisions based on their intuition. They may back it up with data, but they make intuitive guided decisions. And so like your intuition will never lead you wrong. And I've always trusted it. I've always trusted where it's led me.
I love that so much. Occasionally, you ever find a nugget in life, and someone told me something that I've clung to in the last several months. And it was like, if you just ask yourself how to solve the problem that you're in right now, I bet you already know the answer. And I thought, I feel like that actually applies to quite a few people because you already know, even though you're seeking almost like outside validation to help you fulfill.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You do. It's true because like our intuition comes from our all-knowing part of ourselves, right? So we have access to that all the time. So when you ask yourself and you get quiet enough to listen without the doubt will make it hard to really listen to what the truth is. But when you get really quiet to listen, it's amazing the wisdom that will come through.
I love that so much. That's something that was given to me when I had a moment of silence with myself. And the moment of silence to get there was something, and I believe is God telling me, be still, because that's what I need to tell my brain so that I can operate in the moments where I need to listen to the rest of it that kind of comes forward in it. So enough about me. I don't want to know about me. I want to know about you. Tell me when you got all the way through law school and then you decided to start practicing. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, it's really funny because I really love to cook and I'm a really, really good cook. And halfway through law school, I almost gave up law school to go to culinary school. And I thought there were two things that stopped me from doing it. First of all, I had already encountered so much debt that I was like, should I just finish this so I could actually pay for like all of this because it was really expensive? And then the second thing was like, if I actually became a chef, would I hate what I was doing? Because I loved doing it. But if now I had to do it all the time professionally, maybe I wouldn't like it anymore. So I ended up staying in law school. And I knew it's funny, my boyfriend and first husband was a musician. And so I knew I wanted to go in the music industry because I wanted to work in the same industry. And also, if I was going to be a lawyer, it seemed like the only cool place to be a lawyer. So it's like in the entertainment world, right? So I immediately focused while I was in law school, immediately focused on getting myself a job at an entertainment law firm as an intern, and then continued on with that firm once I graduated law school for additional, I think, 5 years. So, it was like I was really directed, like I had these blinders on of this is the direction I'm going. This is what I'm going to create. I'm going to do it right out of law school and I'm going to be successful at it.
Man, that's fun. Like to know at least you get to come out of the other side of that knowing what you're going to go into. But tell us a little bit about what was like starting that and then where it started to shift for you.
Yeah, honestly, in the beginning, it was kind of cool, especially when I was an intern. It was kind of cool. I liked negotiating contracts. I really liked negotiating, not the paperwork itself, not papering the contracts, but I loved the interaction of negotiating. Like I was a really good negotiator. I found that really fun to have that level of interaction with other people. I also had a different perspective about it than most attorneys did, which is whoever has the most leverage wins, right? I'll beat you over the head and get as much as I can because I have the leverage. And what I was watching was relationships imploding, like because I was contracting people to work together, in the future. And if the negotiation like felt one party felt like they were beat up as a result of it, they didn't trust the other party anymore. And it led to conflict in the relationship. And so it started the relationship on bad footing to begin with. So I always wanted to create a win-win situation, honoring leverage, but also understanding these two people or this group of people have to work together after, and how can we make the best of that in the process? So it was always a very different approach to me for me in terms of negotiating. So that was a fun piece. And then, if I'm really honest, I was in the beginning, I was going out, I was seeing a lot of music, and I was drinking quite a bit, like quite a bit. And I drank really hard liquor too. So single malt scotch, vodka martinis, those were like my two drinks of choice. And so I started to have like honestly black out and have memory loss about the last three times I drank and get alcohol poisoning. And I went, oh my God, I have to stop this or else I'm going to like kill myself. Like it felt dangerous. And I did. I just immediately stopped drinking. And then the minute I stopped drinking, Tiffany, I was like, oh my God, I hate what I'm doing. I realized that part of my drinking was numbing myself to like be able to continue to do what didn't feel right for me to do, but I was so immersed in it and I had no idea what else to do. And then I became the executive vice president of the largest independent music company in the world at the time. And I was miserable. I was miserable, like the pinnacle of, success. And the more success I had in the music industry, the more miserable I became. So that was like a really good indicator, like something had to shift. And for years, I asked myself, like, what is this? What is this? What am I meant to do? What am I meant to do? And it wasn't coming through. And I finally realized when it made me very physically ill, I had to jump ship or jump out of the plane and build the plane as I flew it and figure it out as I went along. And I just walked away from it.
Wow. Well, I mean, that's obviously saved your life. The idea
Yeah, yeah.
you would have, thank goodness you listened to your intuition to go that direction. Now, when you left, trying to reinvent yourself and figuring out, like, well, I need to make an income at this point. Like, what did that look like building your own parachute on the way down?
Yeah, honestly, it was the messiest journey of my life, like the messiest journey, because I was the primary income earner in my marriage. And all of a sudden, one day I said to my now ex, like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I really can't do this anymore. I got to stop. Like, it's on you now. And he freaked out by that. So it got really messy. We had a really, really sweet nest egg and went into massive debt. I probably acquired over about $100,000 of debt that I was in. It really strained our marriage, which ultimately broke our marriage. It made my relationship with my son difficult. Like I call it a dark night of the soul. Some people can call it a midlife crisis, but can happen at any age. And I watched my whole life implode. And then honestly, in many ways, it was a blessing because it woke me up because I was like, okay, I know there's a way out of this. I don't know my way out of this, but I know there's a way out of this. And I kept searching for my way out of it and trying various different modalities. And so I learned a lot of mindset tools and techniques that helped me understand the nature of reality and also how I created this living hell I was in, but also if I created it, how I could uncreate it and create something different instead. And I ended up hiring a purpose coach and got really clear on what my purpose was, which was essentially coaching entrepreneurs. because of the 18 years I was a lawyer, 13 of those I was an entrepreneur. So I understood the entrepreneurial mind in a like the entrepreneurial mind relative to the employee mind is completely different. What it takes to operate as a successful entrepreneur is completely different. And so I also understood that it brought up a whole host of like limiting beliefs and self-sabotaging patterns, when you are your business, essentially, that you don't have when you're an employee, even if you're at the top of a corporation. So it just opened up a whole different world for me and gave me a lot of tools to start teaching and coaching.
Wow, that's incredible. Some of those life lessons are what some of the entrepreneurs listening are like going to cling to. Like, oh my gosh, being able to start all over again. Cause really, as an entrepreneur, we have highs and lows, no steady income, no even really W 2 at this point, unless you're doing it as a hobby or a side or it's funding your entrepreneurial journey.
Right,
But
right.
my gosh, I relate in some of those things so much. Tell me more. I need to know. Tell me more stories about this stuff.
Yeah, so in like I said in the beginning, it was really hard. But honestly, it's pretty fascinating because I created over six figures in my first year of coaching. And then I went on to self-sabotage it. I did what a lot of entrepreneurs do is self-sabotage my own business. Like I didn't realize that I had this pattern that allowed me, like I've always been really good at making a lot of money, but I never held on to it. Like it was always my ex-husband who held on to it. And when he was no longer around, it would slip through my fingers. So I noticed, oh, because by that point I was divorced. And so I noticed that here's this pattern again. It's like a childhood pattern. It's what my parents used to do. They'd make a bunch of money and then they'd live above their means and they'd lose it. And it wasn't necessarily that I was living above my means, but I had that pattern of like money coming in, going out, money coming in, all going out. And I was like, oh, I really have to focus on shifting this for me. And I was having difficulty scaling my business. And here I am helping other people scale their business. So I felt like a complete and total fraud. Like the imposter syndrome was so real. The amount of shame that I felt. And what's even worse is I was in this mastermind with two other like business besties, and we were meeting every week. And one of them actually said to me, because I was talking about the truth of what was going on in my business, Alaina, if I knew what was going on in your business, I'd never hire you. And I would be like, oh my God, that's so painful to hear. Because I was helping, like, even though I was struggling in my own business, my clients were getting phenomenal results. Like, so it wasn't impacting my ability to help my clients. It was only impacting my ability to help
Oh
myself.
my gosh, I know. It's like whenever your mom's like, "Do as I say, not as I do," or someone tells you that. I feel you. Like sometimes even giving advice to real estate investors, I'm like, "Don't do what I'm doing right now, like struggle bus in a bad flip, but like you go do that because I tell you what to do on the outside of your perspective."
Exactly. Totally. Totally. So it was one of those situations. And then I asked the universe for three things. Right. I was in so much stress because of my business and it was stressing out my relationship with my son that I asked the universe to both reconnect me to my intuition, because when you're stressed out, you can't like access your intuition. And I've always been an intuitively guided person. And then I asked for me to be able to scale my business. And then I asked for my clients. I was doing 3-month programs at the time with my clients. And I noticed that if they only worked with me for 3 months and they didn't renew for 6 months, that they would start to slip back into their self-sabotage patterns. Like it hadn't fully rewired the neural circuitry, right? The neurosynaptic connections. And so they would start to slip back into their old patterns. And so I asked for help in supporting them get results a lot quicker. So they weren't, and that they weren't dependent on me. Right. And then this like modality kind of came through. And it's funny, in 1 year, 13 months, I ended up 7 timesing my income. And it's the work I teach in the world now. And it's just been a major, major game changer. Not to say I still haven't had some of those entrepreneurial bumps, but it's like nothing like what I experienced before.
Oh, that's incredible. What does it look like when somebody identifies themselves, "Oh my gosh, I need to work with you." Like, what does some of those initial phone calls look like whenever you meet with somebody?
Yeah, usually there's an immense amount of frustration because I work with such high achievers and they're, minimum of 10K a month and above. So most of my clients are at multi six figures. Some of them are even at 7 or 8 figures, right? And they're hitting usually like a wall, like a plateau, right? They're plateauing in some way. And no matter how much they work or how much effort they put in, they're not seeing the income needle move the way they want it to move. And so their effort isn't related to their result. right? And so it can be that they're working 50 to 80 hours, or it can be that they figured out how to work 6, 7 hour days, but they can't figure out how to make more income without giving up those hours. Right. So either they're maxed out and out of bandwidth because they have no more hours to give, or they just are going to end up giving up the lifestyle they fought so fiercely to create to end up scaling their revenue. So that's usually what most of the entrepreneurs that come to me are experiencing, is like the needle, the income needle just isn't moving in the direction they want it to move at the pace they want it to move. And they know they could be doing so much more. They believe they should be doing more, and it's still not moving.
Hmm. Man, that's awesome for you to help in that time. This is one of those things where it's like, how do you find I know I'm a huge fan of networking, but how does somebody find you when they realize that they're in this spot? And heck, they may not even know it. Someone else notices that they're in this spot. Like, what's your favorite way to find the clients that you have?
Usually it's one of two ways, either on LinkedIn or networking are my two main sources. Sometimes speaking as well, but usually LinkedIn. I'm an avid networker. That's how we met, right? Through networking. And my goal, which is my goal generally, is to leave people better than they were before, right? So I really want to offer value in networking. And because I'm such a relational person, not a transactional person, people feel that. And I hear multiple times a week. I never get on the phone with anybody from LinkedIn, but I got on the phone with you because of the way you started the conversation. And so because of that, and because I just like to show up in that way and provide value, invariably people will raise their hand and say, hey, I'd love to have a conversation with you about that. And so that's one of the main ways in addition to networking.
Man, that's amazing. What are your favorite ways for people to reach out to you? Because they're listening to this now, listening to a short, and they're like, oh my gosh, I need to know Alaina right now in my life because I relate so hard. I mean, even some of the stuff you said, I've been through those exact things in my business highs and lows. And if I had met you during some of those highs and lows, right? Like, I mean, no, but like they're thinking, how do I find you? What's your favorite ways for them to come find you?
Yeah, I mean, of course they can. I don't handle my own social media. So if they reach out to me on social media, they're not getting me, they're getting my team. I'll be honest about that, right? So the best way to connect with me is to actually book a call. Like if you feel like you want to be in my world and have a conversation, whether it's to network because we can offer value to each other's business, or whether it's because you're interested in exploring what it might look like to work with me, alainaschwartz.com/introduction is the best way for people to get into my world, because you can follow me. LinkedIn is my main platform of choice, and definitely you can follow me on LinkedIn. But again, if you're really wanting to have a conversation with me, that's a way to have a conversation with me.
I love that so much. What? Okay, 2 more questions, if I even maybe more. Oh, yeah, it's gonna be more. All right, let me do this. Why do you keep trying so hard to keep doing all the stuff that you're doing? Because it's hard, right? Like, the stuff you've invented, you work late, probably, you
I
wake up
don't. I work
early.
about 20, 25 hours a week.
Perfect. Like, but sometimes I wake up at 4 a.m., I'm like, "I have to answer this email because I'm changing this person's life," right? I think of them. Why do you keep trying so hard for all the people that you're doing this for?
It's really interesting. I wouldn't describe what I do as trying hard. I would describe what I do as committed.
Mm.
And to me, there's a really big difference between trying hard and being committed. I've made a decision, like, even if no one paid me to do this, unfortunately, people pay me really well to do this because they get phenomenal results. But even if no one paid me to do this, I'd still want to do it. And, look, I just enrolled about a month ago, a woman who owns an insurance agency, right? And even though she was making $250,000 a year, she was on the verge of going out of business because her expenses far exceeded her revenue. And she was just in major survival mode. And I was just like, I could really help you. And she committed. And within 30 days, she doubled her receipts. And she's in such a positive frame of mind now that she's noticing her sales reps are upbeat and are closing more deals too. She said it's been contagious. The turnaround in 30 days is just freaking phenomenal. Her life is completely different now. That's why I'm committed. Right? Yeah, it's awesome that people make more money. It's awesome that they free up their time. And that's what they often get excited about. I get excited about the intangibles. I get excited about how they show up today, feeling like happy to get out of bed for once, excited about their business again, excited to live their purpose. Like that's what lights me up. That's why I'm so committed to doing what I'm doing.
And that's awesome. And that's what people want to hear because it's like, well, I mean, and here it is. How much? No, this is why I do this because of that. We even talked before we hit record that ripple effect of you're just influencing somebody who owns their own business, who's then impacting all of their clients or customers or employees and above.
Exactly. And their families. And their families, that's key, right? So this woman that I was just talking about, she was telling me her husband was complaining all the time. And since she changed up her attitude, he's like, he complains a fraction of the time now because he knows she won't tolerate it anymore. It's like, I'm not available for that, right? So it's even impacting her marriage and her relationship with her kids because of it.
That's wonderful. I love this so much. All right. Where at this point oh, wait, no. I wanna ask you, what is your favorite thing that you wanna leave as, like, a nugget of advice for everybody listening since they made it this far?
Yeah, I have yet to meet an entrepreneur who isn't the bottleneck of their own business. I have yet to meet an entrepreneur who isn't the bottleneck of their own business. And it's like, get out of your own way. And if you don't know how, seek support to understand how to, because people don't even realize how much they're in their own way. They really do not realize how much they're in their own way. They don't realize that the issues that they're having in their business, they're creating and that you can uncreate it just as fast. Right. So when you can get the right support for that, it will take you to the other next level without having to like grind and hustle your way to
Oh my goodness, excuse me, that shoe fits over here. Multiple
it.
times have I found I am the bottleneck and the problem. All right, last question. What do you have on the horizon that you wanna share with everybody?
Yeah, what I'm really excited about, it's like I have targeted a lot of wealth managers and financial planners because they make great power partners for me. They're great network. I've gotten hundreds of thousands of dollars of business from them. But as a result of talking to so many, a bunch of them have really worked with me. And so it's probably about 35% of my practice these days because I work with service-based business owners, but probably 35% of them are now wealth managers and financial planners. So I've created a short program. It's more like get a taste of Alaina and get results in 6 weeks to help them raise their client assets under management, right? Because a lot of people are going after a lot of lower AUM clients. And what ends up happening is you have to enroll quite a number, right? You have to book a lot of accounts to make your income goals when you don't really need to, when you can go after higher AUM clients. And so I will help them do that in 6 weeks. And because I've done it with so many clients, one of my clients in under 90 days, she went from 250,000 average AUM to 2.5 million average AUM. Another one of my clients went from 80,000 AUM to 500,000 AUM. Again, that was in 60 days. So, it's like I've helped so many people do that. And it's like the first and fastest step to scaling your business.
That's incredible. This is wonderful advice. I'm so grateful for your time. And I know it
Thank
took us a
you.
hot second. I was like, please come on the show. So I appreciate you
I'm
making it
so
happen.
delighted to be here. Thanks for inviting me on.
I love it. I love it. And thank you guys for staying for the whole episode. And I will see you guys on future episodes. And I look forward to hanging out with you then. Everybody have a great day. Bye.